Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all the remarkable people who are joining us today from around the world for a wonderful panel discussion on parenthood perspective, playing as a part of IAmRemarkable Week 2025. For those who don't know, IAmRemarkable is a global initiative empowering people from all walks of life, especially those who are underrepresented groups, to celebrate their achievements in the workplace and beyond. The I Am Remarkable workshop helps individuals overcome self doubt, break barriers, unlock their full potential. To date, we have reached 700,000 attendees across 180 countries with the help of 5,000 facilitators. Excellent job by all the facilitators. And the I Am Remarkable week, which we are celebrating this week, is our highlight moment of the year. It is a chance to bring together participants from all around the world to celebrate the power of diversity, inclusion, and allyship, while empowering people from all walks of life to embrace their remarkable achievements. And now, it's my absolute pleasure to introduce myself, your host for today's discussion. Hello again, I'm Monica Daya, a Gold Tier IAmRemarkable facilitator. I have been working for nearly 2 decades as an IT consultant, guiding teams through transformative journeys that spark innovation, collaboration, and continuous growth. I am from India and I live in Norfolk, UK with my 2 lovely daughters, 13 and 10 years old. So yes, the nightmare of teenage has started in my house. And therefore, today's session is really, really close to my heart. My life experiences fuel my passion for diversity and inclusion and encourages me to do all the voluntary work which I do outside my work. And hence, this year, I have launched a women empowerment coaching platform, Unstoppable You, dedicated to helping women embrace their strength, find their voice, and truly design a life they love. Today's conversation on parenthood perspective, I'm really, really excited to host this talk and delve into the powerful themes we have outlined. But before I introduce all our panelists, I would just like to make you aware that we will have a Q&A session at the end of the talk. So I highly encourage you all to please add your questions and comment in the chat and keep the engagement going. Now, I'm delighted to introduce you to our brilliant panel, Tamara, Michael, and Regina. Welcome, you three. It's a huge pleasure to host you three today for this lovely topic we all can relate to.
Great to be here.
Yeah.
Great. So let's our audience hear a bit about you and get to know you a little bit more. Why not, Tamara? Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yes, thank you. So excited to be here. My name is Tamara Hinckley. Originally from Ukraine, I'm based in San Francisco, where I live with my husband and 2 kids. I have 2 daughters, three and a half and 1.5. So I'm in the thick of it with the little ones, and it's super fun. Most recently, I worked at Pinterest as director of product, focusing on monetization tools. And I left a few months ago to start a company to support new moms, because being a parent is hard and there's a lot more we can do to make it easier. I also write a newsletter on Substack called Half Moon Hustle, focused on ambition, motherhood, and identity. Really glad to be here and excited to chat.
Wow, there must be so much to learn from you, Tamara, because yes, being a parent, the job never finishes and you learn each and every day. So waiting to hear your insights. Thank you. Regina, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yes, thank you for having me here. I'm Regina Cabal. I'm Mexican. I have 2 daughters, one 10 and the other one 8 years old. I used to work in advertising and innovation. And after some years, I founded Momlancers, a platform that helps professional moms get back to work.
Excellent. It is so daunting because the space with which the world is changing, it is really daunting to re-enter the workspace. So it's so good what you are doing and helping all these women out there. Great to have you here, Regina. Now, last but not the least, Michael.
I do feel like I'm the least of this group, and I'm thrilled to be here. So thank you so much for including me. My name is Michael Perry. I'm a San Franciscan that now lives in Santa Barbara, California, raising my family with my wife. We have two beautiful sons who are 6 and soon to be 4. Prior to starting Maple, I was an executive at Shopify for a long period of time, and once I became a father, realized that there was a lot of inequality in my own household and a lot of lopsided work going in the direction of my wife. And so decided to leave my post at Shopify to create a company that made it easier for working parents to share in the family responsibilities at home. And that's how Maple came to be. We now support families across 16 different countries with 40,000 families per month using our product, and have just been named top 7 apps by Apple for parents to grow together. And very thrilled to be here today and get to participate in this amazing and important conversation.
Wow, so thrilled to hear what you are doing, Michael. Yes, I think it's more of a journey of a parenthood. It's not about being a mother or a father, but together as a team, we create an atmosphere for our children to grow and be a good adult in their life. So
Agreed.
excited to host you all three here. To our audience, before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that not everyone in our audience may identify as a parent. Some may be considering parenthood, some may be carers in other ways, or some may just be supporting some parents in our work or personal lives. This conversation is about the broader journey of integrating caregiving and career, and we invite you all to engage with that in whatever way it resonates with you today. Thank you. So let's get into some questions. And for that, I would like to start with more self-reflection or personal reflection question. The question maybe, Regina, will start with you. What's one lesson you have learned about yourself since becoming a parent that's influenced your professional journey?
I, I think, well, we learn a lot of things, but I believe the biggest one is learning about how to choose, no? Because I have to decide where I truly add value and where I want to be. That's been the hardest part for me. I tend to say yes, not to everything. I like being involved in many things and want to show up fully and with all my roles, the playful mom, the speaker, the income generating professional, the supportive partner. But sometimes it's just too much. And parenthood has taught me to pause and ask myself, what do I really want? Where should my focus be today? And honestly, I'm still learning. No? For example, today I'm in a work trip. I have this panel, and later I have another with the UN Global Impact. But I also brought my daughters with me because I want them to see the world and get to see the city. And well, I had to ask their godmother to take them to movies while I work. Someone asked me why bring them to a work trip? No, you can leave them, and the answer is because I want. No, because I want to do both, and with help, with flexibility, and well, a bit less of self pressure. I've learned it is possible, even if it means they are. For example, right now they are watching a movie, no? And it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect to be meaningful. And that's the lesson.
Thank you, Regina. Michael, would you like to anything to that and how you see
Well, I
your
love
journey?
I love Regina's her take on that. I think for myself, life after children, I think the biggest lesson for me, as it applies both personally and professionally, is to live a life through kindness. I don't know. I always feel a bit ashamed of the 20-year-old version of myself. I can't say that I was a mean person. I wasn't mean-hearted. I wasn't malicious. I wasn't like a bad human. I just wasn't a kind human. I was very selfish in terms of what I expected from people around me. I was very selfish what I expected from people who worked for me. I was very selfish with my own time. And I think that it was never met with empathy or meeting people where they're at. And once I had children, I operate at a relationship level how I'd want someone to treat my sons. I cannot stomach the idea of someone being mean to my kids. And I know the world is a hard place, and it's inevitable that they're going to be dealt with some hardships. But I think kindness is such an underrated superpower that my children have unlocked inside of me. And I like this version of myself that they've created.
Lovely. Yes. Thank you, Michael. What a insightful and very, very deep reflection. Thank you. Tamara, anything to add from your side, how it has changed your perspective?
Yeah, I think for me, when I first became a parent, I got a lot of advice. And throughout my career, I always sought out advice, and I was always looking to the experts on what to do and reading all the books. And I think becoming a parent, especially the second time around, has given me a lot more confidence to trust my own intuition and to listen to the advice that makes sense, but to feel okay ignoring other people's input. And so I think that shows up as a parent in knowing when something's off and when they really need to be taken to the doctor, even though Google says they're fine, or vice versa. And just like having a sense for what is right for them from a health perspective, from an emotional perspective, like Michael was saying, like when they just really need a hug, I'm like tuning into more what they need. And then professionally, it's similarly, I think there's a lot of, for me, my 20-year-old self had like a ladder I wanted to climb for what success looked like and where I go next. And it was based on what other people were telling me I should do. And I think becoming a parent, kind of, Regina, what you were saying, I'm a lot more deliberate with my time, and therefore I need it to matter to me. And so I'm trying to listen more to what I really want. And that's been really empowering because it's given me a lot more choice to bring it full circle.
Yeah. You guys have made me reflect, because even for me, being a parent, when I first time became the mother 13 years ago, I find that it helped me to find myself being a mother. So I discovered who Monica is in real, what excites Monica from inside, not necessarily because people around her want it or this is what others around her are doing and trying to achieve. So I think it helps you to be grounded, more aware, and therefore I think, as Michael, you were saying, it develops an empathy. And I really like that today's panel discussion, because there will be so many people who might not have gone through this experience or have an awareness, and they are maybe too young, like you said, 20 years old, Michael, and not just you. I think when we all are young, this awareness is missing. So having these kind of panels create that awareness and empathy for the people at your workplace as well. So thank you for sharing. Okay. So we all reflected on how definitely it has influenced our professional journey in some shape or form, and it is not the same what we had before being a parent. To continue the discussion, Michael, would you like to share, parenthood has often shifted, like how we think about ambition now? Has your definition of success evolved since becoming a parent?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I think completely. I mean, for me at least, the definition of success has completely evolved, because I think that you're like, there's two lines of thought. One is, as you get older, you get a better sense of what matters in life. And you get a better sense of clarity. But also when you have children, you get a better sense of what matters in life, and you get a better sense of clarity. And so you have this perfect parallel track that you're getting a little bit older, a little bit wiser, and you now have this greater sense of purpose. As a young entrepreneur, my definition of success, and certainly my ambition, was about building great companies, having meaningful impact in the form of a market cap, making a lot of money, winning all the awards. It was very egotistical driven. It was very important to me for someone to think I was smart. I don't really care if anyone thinks I'm smart anymore. It was very important for me. I grew up very, very poor. It was very important for me to become rich someday. I don't really care about that as much anymore. I think you build this sense of truth that at the end of your life, the world will not remember you, but your children will. And for me, what success looks like is being 50, 60 years old and my children wanting to spend time with me and wanting to go on surf trips with me and wanting to create memories with me. And not because they're forced to, because they live in my household, but because I did a good enough job that my relationship with them is a priority to them. And so I definitely think that there's been a humongous shift in terms of how I think about life's work, how I think about purpose. And what ultimately does define success is your relationship with your children at the end of your life. That is what your legacy will be built around, is how you care for the people around you, not the type of companies you build. And that shift definitely came with having children.
Thank you for sharing, Michael. Anything to add, Tamara?
Yeah, I've had a similar, I think my ambition has expanded, but the definition has changed. So I think it used to be about kind of the traditional metrics, like Michael was saying, the money, the titles, the promotions. And I think since becoming a parent, I'm much more conscious of the role model that I am to my kids and what I want to see them strive for. And so it's become a lot more purpose and impact driven for me. So, and I don't think that necessarily means that one's job changes. For me, for a while, I actually found a lot of meaning in my work as being a senior leader in tech and a woman, and being a mom and talking about having kids in an audience where that wasn't common. But now I think as I'm thinking about building something, it gives me purpose on creating a world that my daughters will one day live in that is better than the one I found it. So I think that ambition has kind of fueled me more after becoming a parent, because there's more reason to do something meaningful for these two little humans who I care so much about.
So true. So true. It changes the definition and expands. So true. Yes, Regina?
Yes, for me, I think I'm in a transition. I want to get where Michael is right now because I told you, I used to be in advertising agencies, and my goal was I want to work in Madison Avenue in New York and have these big fancy titles. Then with having children, that changed. For example, I needed the last iPhone. Stuff like that, the things that you are fine. What are you talking about? No? And after having children, they break the phone, so I don't need the last one. No, and my motherhood created my company. No, Momlancers was born when my second child was born. But then I started with this recognition and I want to be a unicorn. I want to have all this recognition. And I did got featured in Forbes, no? And I was like, oh, I'm so important and I'm changing the world. But now I even moved to a smaller town. Everything is slower. And I'm in the transition. I'm not there yet. I still get confused with what's important, and I do a lot of stuff that is not really adding up value, but I want to get where Michael is. No, you are now my role model. I want to do fewer projects, fewer projects, and value more the time that we spend with our kids. This mentality that you share, that at the end, when you die, no one is going to care if you're in a magazine, no?
No.
But it's a transition, I think.
Can I, Monica, can I add just like a little bit more color, just because I think that maybe, like, I think that where people get confused is like, because I have a lot of people who talk to me about how do you maintain building a business and be a father. You can run parallel tracks. I think the difference is, like, let's say when you're in your 20s, you're a part of a family, but your goal is to build a great company. Right now, I'm a part of a company, but my goal is to build a great family. And I can still build a very meaningful business. It's just that my identity is not associated to building a meaningful business. Yes. My identity is associated to building a meaningful family, but you can do both. And I feel like we're always having to treat these things as an or statement versus an and. And I just wanted to bring clarity just on my end, at least when I answer that question, because I don't want people to think that I'm not ambitiously trying to do great things professionally. Because I am. It's just that my priority is doing great things as a father. And I do believe in the and versus or.
And also something that changed for me is the social impact. I want to build a company that is sustainable, but it's also making an impact out there. Not just money. That's also a shift that I've done.
Yeah. it changes. And in fact, like as I said, my daughter, I think, is the oldest of three of you, so she's 13. So I have been mom, and I think it changes as your children also grow, because at a certain age they will have more awareness, they will have more understanding. And to be honest, today I'm in a place where I'm doing much more than I was doing due to my personal life. I don't want to delve into that, but when I was in my 20s or 30s, I didn't do or achieve what I'm achieving today. So even though I have more responsibility as a mother, and I'm a single, full-time single mother, but I'm doing much more, because from inside I feel stronger. I have a purpose in my life now. I have a clarity on where I want to invest my energy. Yes, it is tiring sometimes, but I think you learn with age, with experience, how to juggle these balls. And I think what Rahina, you were saying at the beginning, it's not about being perfect all the time, but it is trying to give your 100% intention and being present 100% into the moment. So what I tend to do, like if I'm with my children, then I'm fully with them, and that's more than enough. I think the time, it's a quality over quantity uh, for me. As well as I think children for me have taught, because success for me also, like I think we all are growing up in a world where materialistic things are a definition of success, so we can't be blamed. This is what we see, this is what is being promoted to us. But if when you see a child enjoying for hours just playing in sand, which is for free on the beach, right? Seeing my daughter playing with spoon for hours and being like so happy when they were babies and giggling, that changed my perspective. They don't care whether you are buying them 1,000 pound gift or you are giving them 2 spoons from the kitchen.
That's
And
right.
that definitely has shaped my definition for success, or how I see things around me now. Great. Exciting. So let's carry on with the discussion. And Tamara, maybe we'll start with you. We are talking about all the juggling which we have to do as a parent when we are caring for someone. But it is also very important to create a space wherein we are able to balance all these responsibility across us, not forgetting even what we are to care for ourselves and the work, or maybe the goal we might have. So how do you set boundaries with your time, energy, and focus across work and parenting?
Yeah, I think a lot about boundaries. I think this is a topic people talk about a lot. It's like the advice is you should set good boundaries, but I think we don't really talk about how. So I'm really glad that you brought this up. For me, it's a couple of things. It's what I do and don't do. One thing that I don't do is what I think we were just talking about with being on my phone when I'm with my kids. Like the biggest boundary I have around parenting is I am very intentional to have my phone in another room because I don't trust myself. If I can see it, I'm going to be tempted to go on there and shop or check my Slack or something. So phone is away, this idea of no phone zones. And I think that's also role modeling to them that when we're together, we're all paying attention to each other. So that's something I don't do. Something that I do that I've been doing since becoming a parent is I'm very intentional with my day-to-day schedule and what I'm doing at any moment, because I think, you know, when we become parents, I think we realize how little time we have left to ourselves outside of work and parenting. And so for me, at least, it really forced me to pay attention to what I'm doing at any given moment. So my husband and I talk a lot about who's on duty with the kids at what point. So we both get a break. We take turns having a night off. Or we have like a very, in some ways, it may look like a rigid schedule, but it's actually very intentional to give both of us time to exercise or meditate or just to breathe. And so our weeks are pretty structured because it gives us some flexibility within that to kind of create space that otherwise I think would be pretty easily swallowed up. So I don't hang out with my kids with my phone, and when I'm not with them, I try not to feel bad when I'm doing something else, and we have a lot of space in our days to find time for just me time.
Excellent. Thank you. It's so important for our mental well-being as a parent. Regina, would you like to add how you are setting boundaries?
Well, for me, the first thing is to detect the boundary. Not sometimes we don't even know where is the boundary, and you should define it first. and then be assertive with it. Be clear with which is the boundary. No, for example, yesterday, I tell you, I'm still struggling. I was in a meeting with one of my most important clients, and I had to leave. I had a bus to take at a certain hour, and I was in the meeting. Well, I need to leave soon. No, I need to leave soon, but didn't make the clear communication of at 1:30, this is a hard stop because I have a bus to take. I didn't do that. I was just like, assume I have to, no, you have to be clear. You have a boundary, but you have to be able to express it. No, also in the other, in the personal with my husband, like I need your help with the sleep routine, or you have to be very clear of what you want, no? And no one is going to read your mind. We think people read our minds, but they don't. So be assertive with your boundaries is my thing.
So true. As I think in IAmRemarkable workshop, we say, unless we will speak and share our achievements, nobody is going to speak for us. And similarly, if we are not setting boundaries for us.
Mm-hmm. If you don't decide for yourself, someone else will. No?
Yeah.
So,
thank you. Thank you, Regina. And Michael, I know, and what Tamara was saying, how she's balancing with her husband, it's really nice. So I think she's already inspired with your business model. But we'll be curious to know how you are setting up boundaries for yourself with your work and parenthood.
This one is really hard because I think that boundaries, at least for me, it's always this work in progress. When I have set really hard boundaries, I actually find myself having a lot of anxiety because I'm playing by these hard and fast rules. I try to live a little bit more in a flow state of understanding what the priority is in that moment. That to me has worked. And I've built a bit of a framework in terms of establishing 3 buckets that I use as guidance, North Stars, to say yes to something and make it a time priority. And if they don't fit in those 3 buckets, it's an automatic no. And so for me, what that means is that part of having the balance is really saying no to a lot of stuff, because then my time allotment to the things that matter are very, very high. And so I don't really have boundaries. I have investments. When I'm home, that's my family bucket, and anything that comes on my plate, whether it's a social event or anything else, I ask myself, is this healthy and good use of my time for my family? If it's a no, then I just automatically just don't do it. The next bucket, because family is always my first priority, is this social event, is this thing, is this moment, this push notification, is this something that's needed for work? The answer is no, then I just ignore it. I don't give it any merit. And then sadly, the last bucket in terms of what I invest in is myself, because that does get neglected because I'm in a stage of life where I have to invest in myself to stay alive, but I also want to spend more time with investing in my children and my marriage and in my business than myself. So I unfortunately think that part of the sacrifice, quote unquote, getting to have it all is, I don't spend a ton of time with my friends. I don't have a big, healthy social calendar to that extent. And I don't do a lot of things outside of caring for my children and focusing on my job. That doesn't work for everybody. But what that means is that in the moments that I'm engaged with my children, I feel I have the bandwidth to properly engage with my children. I have the bandwidth to do bath time. I do bath time with my kids every single night. I put my kids to bed every single night. I take my kids to school every single day, every day. And I'm not missing out on that. They are my priority. And then once those responsibilities are off my plate, it's all about work, because being purposeful at work gives me the freedom to show up in those other pockets when the time presents themselves to show up in those pockets. So it's not a fun thing, it's a boring structure. But I do feel like it allows me to show up as the best version, or a work in progress, but the best version of myself as a father, a best version of myself as a husband, and the best version of myself as a founder. And hopefully someday those buckets kind of shuffle the deck a little bit and the time allotments are a little bit differently. But I've done things where I have a work phone and a personal phone. That didn't work for me very well. I've done things where when I'm at home, I'm off work. That didn't work for me super well. I've done things when I'm at work. I can't engage with my kids. That didn't work for me super well. And so I'm just in this flow state of just making sure that I'm making the right investments in the moment.
Excellent.
Yeah, can I add something to that? As you're talking, Michael, I think one thing I've been thinking a lot about lately is what are my true non-negotiables? Things that like the balls that can't drop, right? The glass balls. And so I think even when we're working, if for me, preschool calls because my daughter is sick and needs to be picked up, like that's a non-negotiable. It's a very easy
Non-negotiable
decision. Yeah. And but for me also, I think one thing I'm realizing, especially in these early years of being a parent that are physically very demanding, is that I actually can't put myself in the last bucket. That's my non-negotiable, because then I don't show up well for my kids. I'm not as patient or kind when they throw tantrums. And then I also don't show up well at work if I feel like my cup isn't full. So I'm actually actively working on trying to make myself and my health a non-negotiable. I also have an autoimmune disease. So for me, like there's a real reason why I need to do the sleep, the good food, etc. But it's also a work in progress because like you said, it's hard to put ourselves first when we're conditioned to keep these little people alive. So yeah.
I'm sorry, I just want to also add clarity to that because I don't want to be misleading to the people who are listening. I mean, I work out 3 days a week, right? Like I go to the gym at 5:30 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I meant by that, like if I was being selfish on that last bucket, I'd be surfing for 5 hours every day. I'd be golfing. You know, I'm not able to skip out on the things that I love to personally do because I'm investing that. Golf is 4 hours, right? So like I'd rather spend the 4 hours with my kids or on work than getting to have leisure time for myself. And every once in a while, you have to do those things because it's good for your sanity. But I have friends, who golf every single weekend for 8 hours a weekend with small children. And that's just not how I'm going to use my time.
Yes. Yeah. So it's what I'm hearing is, I think setting a boundary for parenthood is really a personal thing.
Yes.
Because there is no right or wrong answer. And it depends a lot on our personal circumstances, our financial background, our experience, our culture. There are so many perspectives to define. So what I always like, if I'm talking to someone, I say, you have to decide the boundary which you want to set for yourself, what works for you, what makes you happy. Because at the end of the day, I think, Tamara, if my cup is not full, so if I'm not feeling satisfied, eventually it will start to come out somewhere in some shape or form. So I can, if I'm with my children trying to pretend like I am with my children but my brain is somewhere because I'm not able to cope up with my work pressure, it will reflect. So for me, my setting boundary is to be authentic. And even if I'm struggling with work today, or maybe the difference again is my children are slightly 10 and 13, as I mentioned, they have an understanding. So if I have a problem at work, I have been able to now communicate with them and talk to them because it's just 3 of us and they understand. And same at work, I used to earlier pretend or not being very open about being a single parent. But today I'm not afraid of it because that is what the reality is and I can't run away and I have to juggle. And what I say is I'm remarkable because I'm able to juggle with it. I'm not compromising on my work because of the responsibility. So I think being authentic has helped me to set my boundaries, to decide what will work for me and not. And being true to myself. Excellent. So I would like to remind our audience that there is a Q&A going on. So please continue to, I see a lot of comments are coming. So please continue to do that. We'll be closing up soon and we'll dive into Q&A round. Let me ask with one more question. Okay. And Regina, maybe you would like to start on how can workplace better support parents, especially those returning from parental leave or navigating career shifts, because you are helping and supporting mothers who are coming back. But overall, what is your opinion about support from workplace?
Okay, I think the main message is recognize motherhood and parenthood like an MBA, like a moment in which your collaborators have learned so much. And it's not, I hate when they say, oh, he made a pause, no? He has a career gap. What career gap? They are designing human life, no? it's bigger. So the main thing, and for the people that are coming back, mothers and fathers, and for the employers, is to see maternity and paternity as a master's. No, it's a leadership school, and there are many examples. No, you have to negotiate your kids to eat broccoli. No, you have to manage all your house. I've seen women that have their house organized like a, I don't know, like it's like a lean startup. It's like a trail. No, it's, I mean, project management and all these skills, the ability to learn new things. No, I got invited to the school, sent me an email. Oh, we want you to come to math class. And I thought that I was going to watch my girl do math. No, and I got all dressed up and show up to the class, and they were no kids in the class. And I'm, what? No, we are teaching you how our math being taught right now, because it's different when as it was taught before. It's not the same. And oh, okay, so I learned new things. And this ability, the learn to learn ability, is one of the most important abilities that all companies want. And mothers and fathers develop that. Resilience, empathy, communication skills. So that is my main message. No, that's what we should be able to see.
Wow, very, very powerful. Never related it with master, so I'll remember and keep it with me, Regina. Thank you.
Yeah.
Michael, would you like to add to it?
Yeah, I think that, it really matters, I think, a lot on the size of the company. If you're a big company, I think the very first thing that you should be doing, because I came from a big company, a 10,000 person company, and I was a big executive, top 10 executive in the company at a time when I had no children, and a big team of 250 people, and a lot of them did have children. That's a recipe for disaster. How am I supposed to know that a mother can never attend a 5 p.m. happy hour because she's trying to get home to feed her children? Or a father is missing out on soccer practice because of some bullshit pressure that's put on him that a man can't leave at 2:30 in the afternoon to go to soccer practice. How is a young executive with no kids supposed to know that? I think every big company should be investing in a parental council and a parental leadership group to support those that do not have children that are in leadership roles. That is first and foremost. Outside of that, regardless of your size of company, I think that we all have to return back to reality in an empathetic manner, that being a parent is crazy hard. And we are really robbing people from the joy of doing their life work by creating a harder work environment for them, both at home and in their 9-to-5 job. And I'm going to be a career parent. That is going to be my job of life, is to be a father. I believe that great leaders and great companies know and trust that their team will do great work if you let them show up at home in the right way. It's just that simple. I think we overcomplicate it in a lot of ways. And I'm personally exhausted as a father of knowing that women are people who identify as mothers are expected to miss out on career growth in a very dumb way, and that for dumb reasons, and that people who identify as father are missing out on their professional career growth as a father and their professional opportunity as a father because of stupid social pressures in the workplace. It's just time for a reboot. And I think everyone should be leaning into that to the best of their ability. Let's not go to Mars. Let's make parenting better.
Excellent. So true, Michael. Lovely. I love the concept of training, because I think that's what happens in workplace. You have got so many leadership training programs running. You have got communication plans and how to do presentations. But what parenthood means, or being aware of the challenges which comes with being a parent, should also be taught very, very nicely. Tamara, any insights from you, please, on this topic?
Yeah, I think one policy change I'd like to see in the US, where I'm based, is gender neutral paid parental leave. It's pretty ridiculous that we don't have that, and some people have to go back to work within days of giving birth. And also that I think we're making strides on maternity leave, but we're not expecting fathers to be home in those early days. And I think that's where the inequity starts, when mom is there in the early days doing all the caregiving and becomes the default parent, and then it's harder for the shift to happen. I think the other thing I'll add is the first year of parenting, sleep deprivation is a really big thing, and that can actually contribute to postpartum depression. I experienced that both times for both parents. And so I think workplaces need to recognize that it takes a while for someone to adjust to having a baby who doesn't sleep through the night. And it's not that they're not trying, it's that they're physically going through this emotional change that eventually will stabilize. But that first year is really precious. And so I think managers have a responsibility to be much more aware of this transition and treat it just the way they would onboarding a new employee and checking in, rather than expecting someone to come back and kind of go back to the way things were. I think we should be treating it more like you're starting a new job, you need support. Once you're settled in the groove, then maybe less so. And that's what I tried to do as a leader on my team when I had folks coming back from leave. And those people are now really high performers, and they just need a little bit of support during that tough period.
Yeah, I'd like to add the importance of the same collaborators helping each other. We created a program named Moms Coaching Moms, and we just gave tools to the moms that are already in the company to receive the new moms for all this first year, but helping each other and having these like lean-in circles, no? Also for fathers, because I've seen that mothers that work, they are with this superwoman disguise, and they are very alone. They are working at 3 a.m. in the morning, but they don't say anything. They are just, yes, I can handle it on, but they are burnout. But if they can share this with other moms, and the first time we did that, and they cry, no, that I have to do that. Me too, me too, me too. And then it's, oh, okay, I'm not alone. But they need to share, you know?
So true, so true. And I also feel like at least we all are living in 2025 in a much nicer place. At least conversations have started to happen around this topic, and organizations are focusing on creating. I think our parents had really hard time, because that was the time when you couldn't pretend or show up a weak side of you. So I think we are quite privileged in that way, and the key will be to continue to keep having these conversations and create more and more awareness around us wherever we are. Excellent. It was lovely talking and getting all these wonderful ideas from you three. And we will be diving into a Q&A round. But before we jump onto the questions from our audience, I have one last question for you all three. And the question is, what makes you remarkable? We can't go ahead from this I Am Remarkable week panel session without listening to you. What makes you remarkable? And the request will be, kindly make your statement saying I am remarkable because. So we'll start with Regina.
Okay, I wrote it down. I am remarkable because I turn life's messiest moments into meaningful moments for myself and for others.
Powerful, Regina. Thank you. Michael?
I am remarkable because I am Leander and Solomon's dad.
Beautiful. Thank you. Tamara?
I am remarkable because I'm using my voice to spark change for women, mothers, and a better future for my daughters.
Thank you so much. Yes, we all are remarkable. Let's continue our remarkableness around us wherever we are. And with that, we will open up now for our audience Q&A section. So the first question which I'm seeing is, when you start a new company, what would you suggest to ask in the interview to make sure it's the right place for parents? So maybe Regina, would you like to take away this question, please?
Let me see if I understand this. When you start a new company, to make sure it's right.
So if you are going to join a new company. at a job
Just
interview, how will you make sure
yes.
that the organization you are joining is the right place for parents?
I would ask if they have parents support groups, ERGs. I would ask what are the policies, what are the the view on flexibility in home office, and if the managers are parents. I would ask that.
What Michael was suggesting. Great.
Yes.
Anything to add from you, Michael, Tamara, on this?
I think that's spot on, to be honest.
Excellent. Yes, it's important to get an understanding of what kind of groups they are running there in the organization. So, next question which we have got is, if you could go back to one moment in your parenting journey and whisper something to yourself. Wow, what a question. What would you say? Very powerful question. Maybe I'll go to Tamara.
Yeah, I'm thinking of after my second daughter was born, as I shared earlier, I was first of all, the transition from 1 to 2 kids was way harder than I expected, and I wish I knew that. But when it felt like it was impossible, I would whisper to myself, "You might be broken apart, but when you're put back together, you'll be stronger than you ever know," because it felt like it was just so difficult having 2 kids under 2, and a year later it feels like a totally different life, and I just couldn't see that light at the end of the tunnel when I was so in it. So it gets better, it gets easier.
So rightly said, Tamara. Michael, would like to add?
This is such a hard one because like it's really hard to summarize in one word. I don't want to get like overly emotional. I really wish I knew that I'm trying to practice now that just it isn't forever. You know, your 1-year-old is only one for what feels like days. That stage of changing diapers, that only feels like days. That tiredness, it only feels like days. You know, I struggle. My son's about to turn 4, and I'm like, where did it's way faster than anyone tells you. And I think we get robbed. I wish that I knew I was going to get robbed of time. I would literally, I'm so dead serious right now. If I could sell every single thing I own, liquidate every dollar I have, and unwind the last 6 years to get to go back and be present and be in the moment and just appreciate the finite that is being a parent, I would start over. And I'm trying to live that now and appreciating the fact that it is finite time that I have with my boys. But, you know, as Tamara said, when you're broken, when you're tired, when you're exhausted, when you're, you know, in these stages and you're changing diapers, you're almost like wishing the time away. You're wishing to get to that next chapter. And like, that's a fool's advice in hindsight. You know, it's like, just be in it, just be thankful for it. I mean, my wife and I had such a hard reproductive journey. You forget that there's people who go to bed at night and pray to be feeling the exhaustion that you feel right now. I hate myself for that, to be honest, that I didn't just in that moment, just know like, God, it's just so short.
We learn with life.
Yeah.
And we grow. Regina?
Yep.
I think I would whisper and like, it's not that important. It's not that important. Like this big meeting, I remember one time that I have Cecilia, my oldest girl, full of spots. I don't know what happened to her, and I was really concerned of what am I going to do, because I have this important workshop with the client, and I was calling my mother, calling my in-laws, who's going to take care of Cecilia? No, I have this big workshop. And then I realized, well, I'm the mother. Maybe I can say that I can't go to the workshop. No, I have to stay with her because she's full of, I don't know what this is. And I did that. And that was the first time that I realized that, okay, it's not that important. No, it's more important to be with an ill girl that I don't know what she had. It was weird.
I think it is so difficult to host this panel discussion because I'm just holding on to my tears. Yeah, I think for me, you wish what Michael was saying. I still remember, like, both the daughters, like, constantly mama mama, and you feel like just be quiet for some time. I used to say, don't call me mama for at least 2 minutes, just don't call me, especially during COVID time when we three were like locked in a house. It was really the toughest time of my life. And now my 13-year-old doesn't want to be with me,
I know.
and she's already on that age, and I'm like, oh, wish I could just hold on to her little longer. Why? So yeah, that still stays there. That being said, I think I don't know about every parent, but I still do mistakes. And every night, maybe I
Oh,
look back and say, oh, in morning, I shouldn't have done that. I could have done this better. And for me, I feel as a parent, as a human, I'm learning every day.
Yeah, no, but that I'm sorry, but the guilt, no, it's you need to refocus on
Yes,
what are you grateful for, no?
yeah,
very
yeah.
I
important.
think.
Excellent. Next question we have got from Mama's Flight Path. I'm about to
Mhm.
start support for parents going off and returning from parental or maternity leave in my company. What is the most useful piece of advice would you give me? And I know, Regina, you are working on this piece of, so maybe you will be able to guide us.
Yeah, don't lose momentum. It's very easy to begin something like this, big with a lot of emotion, but if you don't put like the dates, because it it, it begins very important, but then the project comes in, the client, and everything else gets more priority. So you need to make it a priority, and if you can incorporate that into the performance review or the job description or something that it is important for business, then you will make it live, because if not, it will the initiative might die soon. So you need to make it a business priority and document, so you can show that this is important and it helps engagement, it helps retention, it helps attrition, it helps, no, make it a business case. It would be my advice, so it is sustainable.
I have another tactical suggestion for the people coming back from leave. I would say I would create a re-onboarding plan for people coming back from leave, because I think often something will change by the time they're back, regardless for how long they've been out. And we just kind of expect them to reintegrate without providing enough context. And so just like when you start a new job, you have an onboarding plan, there's milestones between 30, 60, 90 days for what success looks like. I would put that, at least a template, together for people, and then have them work with their manager on shared goals and setting expectations for what that looks like, so everyone's on the same page. This really helps the person coming back to understand where to focus, what their priorities should be, but also it kind of gives a tool between the employee and the manager on how to have that resetting of boundaries discussion or resetting of priorities. And so I think creating this is pretty simple, and I think that would be the thing I would tactically recommend as part of the program that would help the person coming back and the manager to get on the same page.
Great. Very good
The,
insight. Michael?
the only thing I would add, and I don't know if this was said and I missed it, if so, I apologize. It's kind of like an unspoken rule at Maple. We've had a couple people take paternal leave, and we do at Maple offer very generous paternal leave and same paid paternal leave, regardless if it's someone who identifies as a mom or a dad. So my co-founder, who just became a father, took 2 full months off, which I was very proud of him for doing, and we offer up to 4 months of full leave off. We basically set expectations that your first week back is going to be part-time, because it's not that you're just ramping back into work, but people oftentimes forget that, especially if you're a first-time parent, even if you go from 1 to 2, your household dynamics have radically changed. So you also have this new learning curve taking place at home, in terms of how people are co-parenting together, or if you're a single parent, how you're managing dealing with these changes. And so I think what would be when most people come back, it's like a fire hose. And then people are just like overwhelmed and beat down after day 1. I think that you have to set expectations that you're not going to be overly impactful at work for maybe 10 days or 8 days after you return, and that you need to figure out the right rhythm of your home for the first couple of days and ease into it really, really slowly. So yeah, for us at Maple, we have a lot of different programs at Maple, whether you become a new parent or whether you unfortunately lost a pregnancy, and we offer time off for that as well. So death in the family, time off for that as well. Anytime you're re-entering back into the workforce, we expect that week 1 is part-time.
Excellent. Wow. So I hope our listeners have got some really great ideas for starting this community. So with that, I know we all can continue to talk on this topic because it is so close to our heart for all of us. But everything good thing also have to come to an end. So we will have to close today's session. And I'll request our audience, if today's session resonated with you and you would like to watch it again or share it with your friends and family, it will be available on IAmRemarkable YouTube channel after this broadcast finishes. This was our first public talk for IAmRemarkable Week 2025. And what an excellent way to start for all our audience. There's more to come on IAmRemarkable Week, and it will continue with 2 inspiring talks this week. And you can scan this QR code. It will take you to the agenda and you can register to the upcoming events. We have tomorrow a welcome Shreya Krishnan. She is a poet, advocate, managing director of an organization in India. And the session she'll be leading on from Heart, Owning Your Voice. So please do listen to her. And we will have the last session on Friday, wherein we will be joined by a team of UK Olympics team athlete Bianca Williams for what promises to be a truly inspiring discussion, remarkably, and making you all feel remarkable. So please do dial into these wonderful sessions. Now, I want to close by saying thank you to all of you for tuning in today. I'm sure you will join us in saying a big thank you to the wonderful panel of Tamara, Michael, and Regina for joining us for this insightful and honest conversation. It's been such a big privilege to hear your perspectives, your experiences, and we are grateful that you could join us today. Stay remarkable, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.